Hello guys, and I have this question. What kind of people are still flying Russian airlines? You know, these months we often demilitarize targets inside Russia with drones, and you can see hundreds of thousands of people in Russian airports stuck, sweating in these small halls waiting for their delayed or cancelled flights. But I think that Ukrainian drones that paralyze Russian airspace actually save the lives of these Russians. If you analyze the state of Russian civilian aviation, you clearly understand it's better to stay away from their aircraft that are classical Frankensteins. Just as this whole project of the Russian Federation that wants to return back to the Soviet Union. This year, there are hundreds of accidents with civilian planes, and on the 24th of July, AN-24 crashed, unfortunately for 48 people that were on board of it. And all because back in 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine. Sanctions continued. They led to serious problems with parts for Russian aircraft, and they started cannibalizing older aircraft for the sake of a little bit less older aircraft. But, you know, this cumulative effect is working. Same as Ukrainian drones, because today we demilitarized an important chemical plant in Rostov and a number of other military objects in Stavropol, Northern Ossetia, and there are some updates from Musk and the way he turned off Starlink for Ukraine when we were trying to return the territories that we actually returned. So let's discuss all of these important topics in the video. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the defeat and demilitarization of Russia, the only working peace plan, subscribe, we will witness that all together, and please share and like these videos. That is the easiest but extremely effective way to demonstrate your solidarity with Ukraine. And let's start with the main topic today. And I decided to discuss that again because on the 24th of June in Russia, a plane crashed that was AN-24 with 48 people on board that you may guess did not survive this accident. The aircraft was more than 50 years old, and it was its second try to land, and it didn't managed to do it successfully. Russia is extremely violent and irresponsible with its aviation. They have destroyed lots of lives on MH17. And this is something that we must punish Russian army for too. And that is the proof that Russia is the problem, not just for Ukraine, Georgia, or countries that were once former Soviet Union. It's a threat to any sane person on planet right now. They have targeted an Azerbaijani plane, and now they have serious problems with the president of Azerbaijan, who, witnessing Russian lies and Russian weakness, started speaking the truth, supporting Ukrainians. Let me know, would you like a separate video about that? But also saying that Putin had an option to ask for forgiveness, to pay money to the victims of that accident, but they decided to pretend nothing happened. And that is the worst approach. And now Russians pretend that nothing is happening with their civilian aviation when literally that's a tragedy. And I genuinely do not understand those thousands of Russians stuck in airports in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, in Sochi after great attacks there. And I have started to realize that Ukrainian drones that paralyze Russian airspace actually save lives of these Russians. First, because we only target legitimate facilities, military. Second, because they cannot fly that Frankensteins that they keep naming planes. Please subscribe to demonstrate your solidarity and share the videos if you share my opinion. So in Russia, after 2022, they are suffering from sanctions. When I was irritated at how slow sanctions are, you kept persuading me that they have this cumulative effect. And now we see that. Finally, we see that. That is why I'm praying that no one like Trump will try to lift the sanctions. And whenever Russians speak with the White House, they keep speaking about aviation and the need to get more airplanes. Don't let them, especially after they stole more than 400, close to 500 aircraft from leasing companies that gave them to Russia. When Russia was sanctioned, they stopped contracts with the Kremlin and demanded their Airbus, Boeings back, and Russia did not return. 10 billion worth aircraft were stolen by Russia in 2022. Is that right to lift sanctions even after they are defeated? I'm not sure. And another interesting fact, $10 billion seems like a lot, but what is the stronger word than surprised? Let me know in the comments below. When I learned that approximately 1 day of attacks on Ukraine with these drones, missiles, soldiers that Russia does, cost the country $900 million. Almost $1 billion per day, and it's more than 1,000 days already. They've spent more than $1 trillion, and there are some beautiful symptoms of the terminal stage of their economic recession. Let me know in the comments below, do you want a separate video about that too? So these stolen aircraft do not save Russia anymore, because during the years of the blitzkrieg that failed, they need to maintain this aircraft. They demand much attention, they demand parts, they demand support from international teams, and Russian aircraft do not get that. And at a certain moment of time, they were trying to get these parts via United Arab Emirates, Turkey, but it's super difficult, it's very problematic, it takes time, a lot of effort, perhaps double, tripled prices, and for bankrupt Russia, that's a problem. So they started cannibalizing aircraft and getting some non-certified details made, I don't know, somewhere just like illegally. So we may say that those aircraft that now fly in the partially paralyzed Russian skies are Frankenstein, made of different parts, some of which are not suitable for that models of cars, aircraft. Is that okay? Would you buy a ticket for such a plane? Can you imagine the level of collective madness there? So the fact that we paralyze their skies looks like a preventative step, and Russians should be grateful. And airports again were paralyzed in Rostov, in Stavropol region, in northern Ossetia, and we were targeting legitimate facilities. And in Rostov, that was a huge chemical plant. 37 explosions followed. And the local authorities demanded not to film that because, like, 37 explosions, you cannot explain them by this precise debris, as they often describe successful Ukrainian drone strikes. A lot of people, a lot of evil countries and evil people keep supporting Russia. But even with that support, Russia keeps failing. Reuters proved that Musk in 2022 switched off Starlink for some of the Ukrainian units that were advancing in the operation to return Kherson region, parts of Donetsk region. What is interesting and what is actually beautiful, that later, after that Musk sabotage, we managed to return back these territories. We returned Kherson. But it's very wrong. This is a service that countries pay for. For example, thank you, Poland. They pay for this service. It's not for free. Musk is not the one to decide whether to supply it or not. Imagine that your mobile operator stops working with you because, I don't know, they like your girlfriend and they don't want you to communicate with her, so they decide, no. That is a dangerous precedent that may actually turn away lots of clients from Starlink as soon as a substitute appears. And I know that many countries are working on that. So this is super important to remember that unfortunately, at this moment of time, the world is very chaotic. Lots of people do a lot of wrong things, pretend, like nothing is happening. And what I meant, I have just come up with this thought that I wanted to say, that Russia spends so much money a day. And they need not that much money, like 1 day of war in Ukraine could give them lots of aircraft that could safely deliver their people to the locations they desire. And if they did not invade Ukraine, they would not have explosions in dozens of Russian regions. They would not have war in Russia. Putin is a total failure, and even trolls cannot find an answer to this very important argument, that Putin wanted to prevent war on the Russian territory. That's how he lied about the purpose of the special military operation, when in reality NATO Ukraine did not plan to attack, but at least to his population he was saying that. And now, did he succeed? Just the contrary. Please remember that, and let's discuss these aspects in detail tomorrow 9 p.m. live Kyiv time, as always. Also follow me on my new channel, Anna Danilchuk, where I have a lot of interesting discussions, and I'm very grateful for the feedback I receive there. For example, watch my latest video about the Rotten West and why Russians keep naming us like that, but still dream of their children living outside Russia. And what do you think about these Russians who escaped mobilization and do not oppose war against Ukraine in your countries when they are very far away from the Kremlin together with their families? Follow me on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads. Join the Discord community. Links in the description, same as link to our merch shop with lots of beautiful t-shirts, perfect for summer, but also, most importantly, perfect as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine, and we need that. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel, but most importantly, thank you for standing with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!